Today, doctors from Penn State Children's Hospital are here to tell us how they are helping patients get the health they need to live the way they want.
I wasn't really upset with the diagnosis because, you can't control your life at all. You only have so much say in what goes on.
And happening right now, a specialist from Penn State Health Milton S. Hershey Medical Center, actually two of them are here, answering questions during a live web chat. To ask your questions, visit abc27.com/pediatric cancer chat. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us. It's a Good Day PA. I'm Amy Kem. Before we get started on our special show, here is your morning news and weather update. James Crummell is here with that news update.
Good morning. Two people were rescued from a burning home in Lancaster overnight. This happened around 4 a.m. on the 700 block of Poplar Street. Fire crews pulled two people from the second floor of an in-unit row home. One person was found on a landing, leading firefighters to believe they were trying to escape the flames. The names of the victims have not been released, but we do know they are a man and woman and were taken to the hospital in cardiac arrest. An investigation is underway following a deadly police-involved shooting in Adams County. This started as a fight between two brothers at a home on Stamen Drive in Manalapan Township. Police say 34-year-old Michael Dreyer stabbed his 40-year-old brother Jesse. When police arrived, Jesse ran to the police cruiser, and police say Michael continued the assault. When he wouldn't surrender, police say a trooper opened fire, killing Michael. The trooper was not injured. Jesse is now listed in stable condition at York Hospital. Now for a check on our forecast, here's ABC 27 meteorologist Dan Tomaso.
Good morning, James. Good morning, everyone at home. A ton of sunshine here to start out the day. Temperatures in the mid-30s. We'll continue to see those numbers rise in the mid-40s throughout the afternoon. There will be more clouds coming by, but no showers as of yet. In fact, today's forecast through tonight is dry. Tonight there may be some light showers over the mountains, but then by Friday we certainly see the chance for a couple of showers passing through. Temperatures peak tomorrow in the low 50s. Saturday and Sunday looking colder with highs only in the upper 30s. We'll also be watching for the chance of some light snow Saturday and Sunday. Back to Good Day PA.
Thanks, Dan. Some pediatric cancers have a high chance of returning, but a trial at Penn State Children's Hospital helped one little girl stay cancer-free. Here's Christina Butler.
Hi, Amy. Zara was just 3 months old when she was diagnosed with high-risk neuroblastoma. Here's her story.
This is Zara on stage with every reason to make up her own moves. Her young life has followed anything but a routine. At just 3 months old, doctors discovered a tumor in her stomach.
They do the surgery, they tested the tumor and found that it would classify her in a high-risk category, which meant they had to throw the kitchen sink at it. Chemo, stem cell transplant, radiation, and immunotherapy.
Intense but successful treatment fighting stage 4 high-risk neuroblastoma.
We were ecstatic that she made it through okay, but because neuroblastoma has a high relapse rate, I felt like I had to research and see what was out there that would help keep her in remission. And I found this drug trial that was offered at 22 hospitals around the country, and one of them was in Hershey Medical. And I spoke with Dr. Brown, who was leading the trial, and she made me feel like this was a really good option for us because it's low toxicity and it looked very promising in preventing relapse.
I talked to them on the phone, and we set up appointments for them to come for consultation, for participation in a nationwide run study at the time that was looking at treating patients that had no evidence of disease of neuroblastoma at the end of their scheduled therapy to continue on one medication that they take twice a day by mouth for 2 years in order to maintain that remission.
It was pretty easy. It was a pill every day, twice a day. I would mash it up in her food. She never really tasted it. We didn't have any side effects.
Dr. Valerie Brown's 2-year trial using a drug known as DFMO kept Zara's cancer in remission, but her tiny body was still struggling to recover.
When I talked to Zara's mom, it became clear that the main imbalance going on at the moment we needed to address was something going on with how she absorbed food. She was not gaining weight, she had diarrhea, she was just kind of failing. She was, I mean, it's not like she was dying, but she was just not recovering as quickly as we thought. So we focused on that as a start.
Dr. John Neely found Zara had a leaky gut and sleepy pancreas.
Once they're done with the therapy, how do we help them get back to a normal, growing, thriving child like she is now? And so that was my focus when they came in. First of all, get the gut healed up, get the nutrition in better shape, get rid of the diarrhea, and the interventions we did, you know, Mom was very pleased. She came back and said, wow, it's all better.
It was like overnight where she stopped throwing up, she felt really good, she was having, you know, normal digestive tract. It was a breath of fresh air.
This is going to be the Toy Star.
Almost 4 years after diagnosis, Zara remains in remission, her health back on track, allowing this tiny dancer to continue making big moves.
I'm going to be the teacher, and then you'll be the dancer.
The team here was just so great with her, and it just felt like it was a layer of protection, like insurance, that she would stay healthy.
Zara's trial with Dr. Valerie Brown and DFMO ended in July after 2 years. As you heard, her scans remain clear. Amy.
Well, thank you so much, Christina. And joining us now, we have Dr. Valerie Brown. Can you share with us some of the findings from that trial, like the one that Zara was involved with?
Yes, in September of 2018, we published the results of the trial that preceded the one in which Zara was enrolled. And in this study, 100 patients were enrolled, and we found that 84% were in a 2-year disease-free state and 97% overall survival. And what that means is that 84 of those 100 patients had no evidence of neuroblastoma from the first day they took their DFMO to 2 years later, and 97 of the 100 are still alive and well. And if you put this in perspective, previous trials that ended therapy before starting this trial showed that only 66% of the patients were in an event-free survival, and the 4-year event-free survival dropped to 59%. So it's hard for us to predict what the 4-year survival will be for this trial, but we're hopeful that it will still beat that number. So there's a big difference between 66 and 84%. So
Yes.
I think we're
so encouraging, so
very
encouraging. So
encouraged.
what's the next step for this?
So the trial that Zara is enrolled on is still enrolling patients, so we have to collect that data and data from the other DFMO trials and put that together as a submission for FDA approval. So that is coming down the pike very soon. And in addition, our colleagues at other institutions that are part of the consortium, Beat Childhood Cancer, that actually sponsored this trial, has found some very compelling work in the laboratory, and we are translating that to the clinic. So stay tuned, and next year hopefully I'll have results from that trial, because it's still in the conception stage, but it's going to be for other pediatric patients that have really hard tumors to treat now.
You know, and we want to mention that Zara's family is actually from the Philadelphia area. So can you quickly tell me how families cope with having to travel here?
Yes, it can be quite a burden for families, even if they don't have to leave their home institution. But to add the fact that they have to travel great distances can be not just a financial burden, but also a burden to their family and their family makeup. And thankfully, because of Four Diamonds and Thon, which is this weekend, families that travel to our institution, particularly to participate on these studies from quite a distance, will benefit from the funds raised by these two great organizations. And just this past week, I had a family that came from Virginia to participate in the trial that Zara participated in. And our social worker went in to explain what the benefits were, and the father was just beside himself. And he's like, I knew I was gonna like this place. And you know, that was not even the carrot that brought him to our institution, but that was definitely the icing on the cake.
Aww.
And you could just see the relief in his face, like, okay, we can do this.
Well, hey, I like that place too. I like your
Great.
place too. And you mentioned Four Diamonds and Thon, and we're going to hear more about that as our special hour continues. Thank you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Brown. Now let's check in with the Penn State Health ABC 27 web chat. Here's Deborah.
Thanks, Amy. Doctors are answering your questions right now at abc27.com/pediatric cancer chat. Joining me now is Dr. Daniel McCone. Thanks for being with us. Here is the first question that we have received. After watching the story of that little girl, I was wondering, how do families get signed up for experimental treatments or learn more if they are not being treated through Penn State Children's Hospital as their main hospital?
Sure. I would recommend that patients discuss with their primary oncologist what treatment options might be available at their home institution and ask them to investigate what experimental options are available at other centers. There's a lot of options for patients and families interested in these, including clinicaltrials.gov, which is a database maintained by the National Institutes of Health. All of the trials at Penn State Hershey are listed in clinicaltrials.gov.
Okay, and of course there are tons of clinical trials there at Penn State Health.
That's correct.
Okay, we'll send it back to you, Amy.
Thank you, Deborah. And here's how you can submit your questions. Just log on to abc27.com/pediatric cancer chat. We'll be right back with more of this special Good Day PA. Welcome back to the special Good Day PA. As we've seen, Penn State Children's Hospital is a place for kids, but it's also for teens and young adults. Christina is here to share that story with us. Christina.
Hi again, Amy. Megan Hart's life went from revolving around college and field hockey to cancer and chemo. She spent 5 months at Penn State Children's Hospital. Here's her story.
Megan Hart has always been up for a challenge. Her strength typically put to use on the field hockey field for Shippensburg University. But in the fall of 2017, a cancer diagnosis sidelined her from the sport and life as she knew it.
I just got hit with so much fatigue and I was drowsy and I just didn't want to do anything, and like that's normally not like me because I like to exercise and be active and do a whole bunch of things.
Finally, we have a diagnosis of B-cell leukemia, which, you know, in general is a pretty good prognosis, but as you become a teenager and a young adult with a very much toddler problem, things, are a little complicated, and some of the side effects that you develop because you're a young adult are a little worse.
Megan was beginning her junior year of college, but doctors wanted to treat her in the Children's Hospital.
We know that children, or young adults that are treated on pediatric-based protocols do better than if they're treated on adult-based protocols.
She battled a bacteria infection at the start of her treatment, jumping straight into chemotherapy.
I'm like, all right, let's go, let's get going. So I wasn't really upset with the diagnosis because, you can't control your life at all. You only have so much say in what goes on. So whenever they told me, I'm like, okay, so there's 2 ways that we can go. Just start the treatments, live your life, and enjoy the time that you have, or be depressed and sad about it. So we went with the happy route.
She only left the hospital once during the next 5 months, a short break, rushed back because of yet another complication.
We went in and I had a fungal infection in my nose and my lungs. So they had to biopsy that and cut that out. So I'm missing part of my septum, and they went in and cut out part of my lung with the fungal infection. And so they did that, and it turns out that it was a very rare infection. It's a very rare fungus, and there's only 5 cases in the entire world that people had it growing inside their bodies.
This is something that we think she's probably, has. She plays field hockey, so she's in the fields. They live in an area that's very woody, and so who knows what's really around, but while her immune system was there to keep everything in check, she probably did just fine. And as soon as we wiped that immune system out after the induction phase of therapy, it just sort of blew up. And that's how she came in, and she had this black spot on her nose, and no one really knew what it was. And we did a biopsy, and through that we were able to find, what infection it was. And she definitely gave all of us a run for our money.
Through her entire treatment, she continued to cheer for her teammates and them for her, bringing her the national trophy that fall. Her upbeat attitude and champion spirit helping her and her doctors.
Mentally, she's always been the one that's been in a great mood. So, seeing her spirit really be so resilient, I think helped her more than maybe some of the medications that we were able to give her.
Megan is now in remission, able to play with her dog, go back to school, and of course, play hockey.
It's not going to be the same as it was. You can't go back to how it was before. You have to kind of move forward and go in a different direction, but you'll get where you want to go eventually.
Megan continues to get scans, but again, she is back in school and able to join her team at practices. It's just remarkable to think about everything she went through in just 1 year and the role Penn State Children's Hospital played in that. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more Good Day PA.
Welcome back. Dr. Lisa McGregor joins us now. We just saw that story about that young lady who was treated, though, at the Children's Hospital. Why do young adults have better outcomes when they're treated in the Children's Hospital?
So we've done research that shows that young adults with leukemia, like Megan has, actually have better outcomes. We showed that we improved their survival rates from about 40% to 70% by treating them like we treat children. However, it is tough, and it comes with more toxicity for some of them, as you could hear what Megan experienced.
Yeah, gosh, what a rough go she had, but what a fantastic attitude she has, which I'm sure has carried her so far. What about other types of cancer? You know, do young adults do better with treatments initially designed for children?
So we don't really know. Unfortunately, the young adult population has not had improvements in their cancer cure rates like younger children or older adults have had. And most of that is because they don't participate in studies historically, so we haven't had the opportunity to study and treat them and improve their outcomes. We hope by including more of them on trials for children, and we've increased the age of eligibility for some of our trials up to 30 or even more, we can learn more about how they do, and we can improve their outcomes also.
You know, for this age group, what other sort of challenges do they face?
It's really hard. As you could hear from Megan, she was in college. Her job right now in terms of development is to grow up and move away from her parents. But having a diagnosis like cancer often pulls you right back into your parents' household because you need that social support of your parents. For some, it's a very much a financial issue as well, that many young adults are no longer covered on their parents' insurance, but yet they don't have their own insurance yet either because they think they're healthy and they're young.
You don't need it.
You don't need it until you need it, unfortunately. Now with the Affordable Care Act, more people up to the age of 26 are on their parents' insurance, and it's becoming less of a problem. One of the big problems that Megan and our other young adults face is fertility issues. Cancer treatment sometimes does decrease your ability to have children in the future, and our very young children don't really care, and our 50 and 60-year-old patients don't care. But when you're in your late teens and early 20s, considering a future without children is very hard. So we are doing a great deal of research now. We're participating in some consortia where you're trying to learn how to better preserve fertility for these patients.
Very good. Well, it's just tremendous work that you're doing. Thank you so much,
Oh,
Dr.
thank you so
McGregor.
much.
Up next on Good Day PA, we'll have more from our viewers and our experts participating in today's ABC 27 Pediatric Cancer Web Chat. Remember, the chat is happening now. It continues to 11. You're watching Good Day PA on ABC 27. As today's ABC 27 Pediatric Oncology Chat continues, we check in now with Deborah Pinkerton.
Thanks, Amy. Doctors have received nearly 20 questions so far. You can send your questions right now to abc27.com/pediatric chat. We're joined right now by Dr. Mary McGrath. Thanks for being here. Here's a question that came in earlier. My child bruises very easily. I'm concerned about it being a sign of cancer, but our pediatrician says he has no other symptoms. Should I push for blood work or tests to rule out neuroblastoma?
So bruising is a very non-specific sign that doesn't automatically equal cancer, especially in the absence of other signs and symptoms that your general pediatrician would know to evaluate for. Neuroblastoma typically presents with a combination of symptoms that could include an enlarging abdominal mass or bone pain, fevers, unexplained weight loss, things like that rather than just isolated bruising.
Okay, and here's another question that came in. My daughter has some worrying moles and freckles on her back, and I'm afraid it's cancerous. How can I get it diagnosed?
So thankfully skin cancer is very rare amongst children. However, it is important to wear sunscreen to prevent the development of skin cancer in adulthood. Concerning signs of moles and freckles are asymmetry, any border irregularity, color variation, size greater than 6 millimeters, which is about the size of a pencil eraser, or kind of evolving changes in size, shape, color, things like that. If you are concerned about a mole or a freckle, the first step would be to be evaluated by your pediatrician, and if they share concerns, they could refer to a dermatologist.
Okay, some great advice. Thank you, Dr. McGrath. And stay with us. We will be right back.
Welcome back. At Penn State Children's Hospital, there is also a clinic for sickle cell patients. Sickle cell is a blood disorder. Oftentimes, it's very painful. It is a lifelong disease. Joining us now, Dr. Gail Smink and also patient Jarek Griffin with his mother, LaShawn James. Thank you so much for coming in today. And Dr. Smink, we'll start with you and just tell us, what is sickle cell disease?
So sickle cell disease is a chronic blood disorder where instead of your red blood cells looking like discs, they form more rigid rods and are not very flexible.
Okay, and how does this impact a patient and what they feel?
So patients with sickle cell disease experience a variety of symptoms from those cells turning into more rigid structures and blocking blood vessels. And that's really what ends up leading to the complications of sickle cell disease in general. And so the main complications that we see are painful events, pneumonias, as well as strokes and other end organ damage from sickling events that happen within the body.
Okay, and LaShawn, as you're listening to this, is this what your family and what Jarek has gone through?
Absolutely. Every day we kind of wake up with the what if of is he going to be sick? Is he not going to be sick? Is he going to go to school? Is he not going to go to school? And so every day is a challenge with just what the day is going to look like, whether he's going to have pain or not.
Sure, and Jarek, for you, tell us, I mean, what's your typical day like? And also you get transfusions, correct?
Yeah, so like, I wake up, I got friends and like do normal stuff like any other person, but like sometimes my pain and stuff, it'll be stopping me from doing what I want to do with my friends, or it'll be stopping me from going places because I'll be sick sometimes. I'll be in and out the hospital, etc. And I have to get my blood transfusions to make sure that I don't have a stroke again.
Wow. So it's serious, obviously. It's a serious disease. Dr. Smink, what is the benefit for patients when they come to Penn State Children's Hospital?
So patients with sickle cell disease are typically diagnosed on newborn screen. And our goal in the Comprehensive Sickle Cell Clinic is to educate families about what sickle cell disease is and what to look for. And so much of what we need parents to do is recognize the signs and symptoms of complications of sickle cell disease so they know when to call and when to be seen.
And LaShawn, you're shaking your head, you're nodding your head in agreement over here. How has that improved your handling of Jarek's?
For us as a family, we are a family that Jarek has more complications than some other kids with sickle cell might have. And so for us, it really showed us what Penn State was all about. It made us the priority. It was really patient-centered, and so it put our needs first. So instead of us having to go to 8 different doctor's appointments throughout the month, we can just come once a month, one day, get everything seen, see all of his specialists, and get the care that we need in one-stop shop. And it was, that is really what it's about for us.
Okay, Jarek, it gives you more time with your friends to do what you like as well, I'm sure. Yeah. Thank you to all of you for coming in today and sharing this with us. Thanks so much. Coming up next, we'll get you ready for Thon, the 46-hour dance marathon at Penn State University. Stay with us.
Welcome back. This weekend is Thon weekend at Penn State University, and joining us is the Executive Director of Four Diamonds, Suzanne Graney. Let's talk about the mission of Four Diamonds. Suzanne, what is it?
Very simply, it's to conquer childhood cancer. We know that 16,000 young people in the United States will be diagnosed with cancer this year, and our goal is to find better treatments and better ways to cure, because 1 in 5 children who are diagnosed will not make it through their fight. And our ultimate goal is for every child to be able to survive and thrive.
Thon is just incredible, and I just said to you, can you imagine, like the very first Thon, could the organizers have ever seen the explosion that it would be, how incredibly successful it is? This is one of your primary areas of funding. It kicks off tomorrow. Can you just tell us more about Thon?
Sure. I don't think anybody in their wildest imagination dreamed that this is what it was going to grow to, but aren't we so fortunate that it did?
Absolutely.
So many families have been able to be helped. So many young people have been energized to be part of a solution. We have more than 16,000 of our Penn State University students who will kick off a 46-hour no sitting, no sleeping dance marathon this weekend, all to help families who are fighting childhood cancer.
You know, but let's talk more about those families, because Thon raises millions of dollars. How do those dollars benefit the Four Diamonds families?
We are so fortunate to have ongoing support from the community, from Thon, and it has helped us to be able to grow a world-class program to be able to treat our children and their families. We are very fortunate to be able to cover all of the costs of care that is not covered by insurance for every single one of our Four Diamonds families. And we are also able to wrap those families in comprehensive therapeutic services for the child and the family. So having specialists like child life specialists and music therapists, nutritionist, a psychologist who's dedicated to that patient population is all because of Thon's support. And then we're really fortunate to be able to direct more than 70% of our resources to research in pursuit of finding a cure and better treatment.
Let's talk more about the research. Why is that so critical?
Well, it's so important. If we know that 1 in 5 children don't survive, we look at those 4 out of 5 and say, what the treatments that we know about now are working. Why is it not working for that other child? What is it about their disease that is different? How can we help to make sure that we're saving every child's life? And the best care in the world won't get us there. We have to find new ways to treat the kids who are not surviving, and to find better treatments for those who do, so that they don't have life-limiting side effects.
It's just tremendous. Now, you mentioned 16,000 Penn State students participating. Here's the thing, though, it's not just for Penn State students. This really is a community effort. Viewers at home can help too.
Absolutely. There is a spirit of love and hope that fills that Bryce Jordan Center, and people at home can be part of that. They can make a gift online at thon.org. They can also log on to thon.org and watch the live stream throughout the weekend. That will kick off when the students who are dancing stand up at 6 p.m. on Friday, and it'll continue through until they're able to sit down at 4 p.m. on Sunday.
What did you just say? A spirit of love and hope?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I mean, what we find in that stadium is like nothing I've ever seen before. People ask me all the time to describe Thon, and the best way I found to describe it, it's the largest display of human kindness I think I'll ever get to witness in my life.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Suzanne. You're going to come back and talk with us in just a few minutes, but coming up next, mini-thons take place in schools all over Pennsylvania, and we'll show you how they get these kids ready right after the break. Welcome back to this special Good Day PA. As we heard, Thon raises a lot of money to help in the fight against pediatric cancer. Another important fundraiser for Four Diamonds is Mini-Thons, and Deborah is here to tell us more about that. Hey, Deb.
Thanks, Amy. This year marks the 25th anniversary of the start of Mini-Thons being held in schools across Pennsylvania and in some neighboring states. Now nearly 300 schools hold Mini-Thon events, and every August they unite in Hershey. One by one, students and their Mini-Thon advisors pack into the Hershey Lodge. They're here for a couple of reasons. One is to celebrate the amount of money raised from holding Mini-Thon events in their schools this past year. $36,568.82. More than $7 million, the most raised in a single year. 17-year-old Brian Weinsheimer helped reach that goal. He's in charge of the entertainment at J.P. McCaskey High School's Mini-Thon.
Volunteer so I can give back to people who gave to me.
Four Diamonds supported Brian and his family when they needed it the most.
I was diagnosed with a brain tumor in the center of my brain when I was 6 years old. I went for a 7-hour surgery, and that got out 90% of the tumor, 6 rounds of chemotherapy, and then radiation, and then gamma knife to blast away the rest of the tumor.
Brian's family never saw a medical bill.
The mission for Four Diamonds is to conquer childhood cancer, and we do that in 3 ways. Number one, we make sure that any child that's being treated for cancer at Penn State Children's Hospital never sees the bill. We also make sure that we support an entire team that helps to take care of the psychological, the social, the spiritual, and the emotional needs of the family. And the final thing, and probably one of the most important things that Four Diamonds does, is to fund groundbreaking research to help find better, safer, more effective treatments, and ultimately a cure for all childhood cancers.
So what we do is we start the year, the advisors set goals, we have goals for ourselves.
Another reason why students meet here every year is to gain inspiration and education for their upcoming Mini-Thon events.
We want people to work in Hershey Park, so we created a graphic with a lot of colors.
Kathleen McGraw from Hershey Entertainment Resorts stresses the importance of social media.
As everyone knows, it's an incredibly important channel to share your information. So today I just want to talk about have fun with it and idea share and try different things and really be consistent in getting your message out.
But we want to start off by figuring out who the event is for.
Dustin Imhoff is a professional event designer at Shoemaker PDT in Lancaster.
We're really talking with the students about the finer points of event planning and some really inexpensive, easy ways to design their spaces for their mini-thons.
Make sure that your school uses gym dress.
18-year-old Tucker Haas is a senior at Central York High School. He shares his personal story with his peers. Doctors diagnosed him with cancer when he was 2 years old.
My mom was rocking me to sleep one night, and she found a bump behind my right ear. Up at Hershey, they found out that it was cancerous.
5 years filled with surgeries, countless radiation treatments, and chemotherapy.
So it makes it easier when people get an email saying...
Now Tucker is an organizer for his school's mini-thons.
It feels good to be able to help the kids that are in the hospital, just like the people that helped me when I was in the hospital, and to be able to know that I'm making a difference in families' lives and the kids' lives is pretty amazing.
These students and advisors have been here all day, lots of hours spent learning. Now they are geared up and ready for another season of hard work, laughter, and fun. All the time knowing that their efforts leave a lasting impression on all of the children and their families who walk through the doors at Penn State Children's Hospital. Last year, the students raised more than $600,000 compared to the previous year. Amy?
Thank you, Deborah. I'm getting choked up. I say year after year we do this show, and it's very emotional to see these children who are suffering yet are so resilient, have smiles on their faces. It's so just touching to me. And then these mini-thons are just amazing that these children are doing this. Is Mini-Thon part of Penn State's Thon?
It's not. It is a separate program. It was inspired by the Penn State Dance Marathon, but this is a program that is run in elementary, middle schools, and high schools across Pennsylvania and in 7 other states. And it is empowering young people to be part of a solution, to learn about compassion and caring for somebody else, while also building leadership skills, learning about teamwork, and being an active part of their community. And I agree. It's hard when we talk about childhood cancer. This is an emotional topic, and what we learn is that the students are very affected. These are their classmates and their friends who are fighting cancer. This is an important topic to them, and to be able to empower them to be part of a solution is very, very important.
And as we saw, some of those teenagers were fighting cancer themselves as a little child. So here's the thing, if somebody from a school is watching now and they think, okay, I need to do this at my school, how do they do that?
We would love for you to come on board and be part of Mini-Thon with us. You can log on to fourdiamonds.org and look for the Mini-Thon tab and find more about Mini-Thon. You can call our office at 717-531-6086 and we can connect you with resources on how to get started. We will take you through every step of the way. while you are leading your mini-thon, we are in the background supporting those efforts.
It's just amazing. Thank you, Suzanne, for being with us, and thank you for everything
Thank you
that
for the
you and
opportunity
your
to
teams
tell
are
these
doing.
stories.
It's just amazing. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Joining us is Dr. John Neely. Now, Dr. Neely, you practice integrative pediatric oncology. What does that mean?
Yes, well, I've been a practicing pediatric oncologist. In fact, took care of Tucker, who was in the last segment. But lately, I've been turning my attention to providing something unique for our division, looking at integrative medicine and how it could be applied to pediatric oncology. So to me, integrative medicine is taking the time to look at the whole patient in a different way, trying to understand what's out of balance and what might help a patient through their therapy and after their therapy. The other thing that comes in quite often is that patients come in, parents come in with many, many questions about what supplements should I take, what they've heard on the web, et cetera, and I'm a resource for that.
That is terrific. What kind of patients do come into your oncology office?
Well, they typically come in because they have been speaking to their main oncologist and they have a lot of questions about supplements or nutrition, and so they refer them to me, where I have the opportunity of spending an hour and a half with a patient and their family to really kind of understand what their concerns are and then answer their questions. Sometimes they come in with a specific issue. It's usually something nutritional. Or the other thing, like Zara, who we saw a little while ago, well, she came to see me because she was having some really significant GI issues that was keeping her from thriving, and so I helped her with that.
That is just terrific. Talk to me about patients who have completed therapy.
Okay. Well, and this is going to be something that's very important because we have more and more patients that complete their therapy, and what they're concerned about is, well, how can I, number one, keep the cancer from coming back? How can I thrive and all of that? So I tend to spend time on looking at what they and their family are doing for nutrition, how that can help them grow and detoxify and all the things that good nutrition can do. I spend some time looking at their immune system, which gets pretty trashed sometimes during the chemotherapy, and how to make sure that that is built up so that their immunity is in better shape. It helps them with infections. There's some evidence that it helps control subsequent cancer too. And then I have them do kind of a look at what their environment is like, specifically toxins that we all face and how we can best get away from being affected by toxins.
Oh, just another terrific resource. Thank you, Dr. Neely. We'll be right back. What a remarkable show. Thank you to everyone who participated, from our experts to the patients and families telling their stories. If you would like to help the fight against pediatric cancer, you can contribute to Thon. Visit thon.org to make a donation and for a lot more information. And remember, the mini-thons, the schools can get involved with mini-thons. It's just remarkable. Thank you, everyone. Make it a good day, PA.